Going to Peach over here, you said in your pre-show notes, Peach, you think that you can turn, your words not mine, you can turn a hoe into a housewife. Explain that.
Yeah, I think you can, because you can like let's say
you can change.
Yeah.
After being a hoe.
Yeah,
Okay.
like you can change your life, turn your life all the way around. You know.
Erroneous. Erroneous.
You probably don't.
I disagree with you. No, you can change your life around, but I don't think men are obliged to accept your past.
No.
Well,
If they don't have Jesus, I mean, thank God we're all forgiven.
I actually, even if you're religious, I actually don't even think it's a contradictory position to be devoutly religious and also have the choice to not date a woman who's a sex worker.
My guy is probably
Hold
gonna
on,
have
hold on,
a
hold on,
crazy
hold on.
past.
The body is the most tender, intimate part of our being. Speaks volumes about a you who is willing to jeopardize that sanctity for superfluous things like money and clout. Get a skill, save your soul.
The shizzle.
So I want a guy who
well
actually
put,
has a
Killer
crazy
Syria.
past, because him having a crazy past and turning to God is amazing, because he could go back to that life, but he chose to change his life. And I think that's an amazing thing to go through that and not pick that side. Some people would just hide in their sin and keep, you know what I'm saying? So to have somebody who's 180'd their life, transformed their life, that's a beautiful thing.
Sure, look, women can change and be redeemed, but men do not need to then disregard the baggage that comes with that and marry them. And I think these are compatible from a secular perspective and a theological perspective.
there's
I
people
agree
who are
to an
virgins who have a lot of
extent.
baggage.
I agree to an extent. I don't think that a man has to accept a woman with a past, right? It has to almost be like a calling. For example, my husband, before he felt God give him peace, he never would have considered a woman with a past like mine. He has a very clean testimony. He's, really guarded his life. And so he would have never, he wasn't even a porn watcher. So what I'm getting at is you don't have to accept a woman's past, but it doesn't mean that there isn't a man that won't be called to you, that won't embrace you and not see you as a product of your past, but a product of God's grace. And I absolutely think you can.
I don't disagree that people can move on from their past, and they should. In fact, I would say it's the best thing in the world to watch people redeem themselves or move past kind of this horrific behavior.
That's my bad. If you can, Andrew, if you can repeat yourself.
Yeah. So I was just saying, if your kid came to you and had two different suitors, and one had a past that was riddled with pornography and the other one did not, and she liked them about the same, which one would you recommend that she go with?
I mean, I would have to know the person and know the fruit in their present, because I really do believe that God can redeem anybody.
Yeah, it's about the same. That's what I said.
Well, if it's about the same, then of course I'd probably say, well, then maybe go with the man. I mean, everybody sins, but maybe go with the man that hasn't. I mean,
why would you say that though?
Why would I say it? Because you know what? And just being 100% truthful is that people that have watched porn, I mean, you can go without it, but you might get tempted.
No,
in the
they
future,
starred
right?
in it.
What's that? They starred in it?
They starred in it, yeah.
Oh, why would I choose the person? Because if they're equal, right? If they're equal and you like them both the same, then why not choose the person that doesn't have the past? I'm not up here trying to say that every man will accept your past. I'm being honest about that. So
I'm
your
not saying that you're
question-
saying that.
I
I'm just
know,
saying
so-
that there must be a reason why it would be that you would recommend that they don't. And to Brian's point, all Brian's pointing out here is your past does stay with you
Absolutely.
regardless. The baggage
Absolutely.
of that does
And I
stay
agree.
with you regardless. And it's not a contradictory position to say, look, if you want to move past, or you don't want to get together with a woman who has done pornography and prostitution and things like that,
I
it's
would say
totally
this.
acceptable.
if it's between two people, one has a past in porn, the other doesn't. You know what? If you like them both equally, go with the one that doesn't have the past. And the reason for that is because my past does have a lot of consequences. My husband has had to have people send him images of me, and we are going to have to deal with that with our children. It's not something that I'm proud of. It's something that I wish I could give back. And so yes, if I was to guide my child and they said hands down, I love them both the same, which I kind of think is weird, because then it's like, why are you giving your heart away to two different people? That is strange. But in a hypothetical situation, I would say choose the one that doesn't have the past, because it does have consequences.
Now let's take a non-hypothetical situation, apply the same logic, if you don't mind. Your kid comes to you and just says that they're interested in a person that has a past riddled with pornography. Seems like a decent enough person, okay, but they have this past. It's riddled with all sorts of pornography. They start on the big screen, you know, the whole 9 yards. Would you recommend that they maybe take their time and see if they couldn't do better?
It depends. If they are in love, if my child is in love and the person is bearing fruit of repentance and really truly has a changed mind, then I would say, if you really love this person, then you know what? I give you my blessing. If the person genuinely is a man of God or a woman of God.
Yeah, but the thing is why not give the advice? No, you probably don't want to do that. Maybe the best thing is for you to hold out for a little while, see if you can find someone who's better, who doesn't, engage in pornography and this type of thing.
Because honestly,
doesn't that sound also like sound advice?
Well, yeah, it could be, but it just, you're giving advice based on your perspective. For me, I'm living proof. Yes, I have a horrific past, but I'm a wonderful woman.
Yeah, but you're an exception, not the rule, and you know it. Hang
absolutely.
on. You're an exception and not the rule, and you know it.
Yeah, you're right. But there could be more women like me if they honestly had a relationship with the Lord and they surrendered to Him.
But there aren't more women like you, really. There's very few women like you, and you know it. And you would say it's a huge, massive red flag, right? And that people should probably avoid it like the plague because of that.
If they don't have a relationship with the Lord and are not bearing fruit of repentance, then absolutely it's a red flag.
Even if they did, even if they are bearing the fruit of repentance. You have one right next to you who's bearing the fruit of repentance by her own admission. Would you want your son to date her?
She's still in her beginning stages of Christianity. When I came to church, I had bikini photos, all the things, right? And I was sitting in a service, and my husband was actually the preacher, and he said, if you don't like what you're attracting, change what you're promoting. That word was enough to convict me. I thought, wow, all these years...
Exceptions are not the rule.
Right,
and you
but
know that
who's to
this is an
say-
exception, that your story, the reason it's intriguing and people are interested in it is because it's exceptional, because you're an exception to this rule. It's not something which is common. Very few people go down the same path that you did and become religious zealots. It's very rare. And so how could this not be a massive red flag? And as a good mother, wouldn't the very first thing you would say is say, wait, let's put the fucking brakes on, especially how familiar you are with that industry? You'd have to, right?
Like I said, if I met this person, I have great discernment, and I got to know them over time, and I could tell that they genuinely bear fruit of repentance, meaning, you know, it even shows that throughout their social media, not just social media, but privately, then I would say that it would be okay. But I would have to see that they bear fruit of repentance. If they haven't...
Now, last question on this. Assuming your husband, right, who has had no involvement in any of this type of stuff, right? And God bless the man. I hope he's a very happy man.
He really is.
But assuming for a moment that he came to you and he said, I don't want my children to date anybody who is engaged in any kind of prostitution whatsoever, ever. I don't want that, and I'm going to advise them against it. Even if they found the Lord, I'm going to advise against it because I don't want them to do that because of what happened when they were in school with other people knowing that mom, you know, had these problems and this and that. Would you respect his decision?
I mean, absolutely I would, but this again is hypothetical because my husband has seen God move in my life to the point where if he actually got to know one of their potential dating partners and they had a past, yet they were bearing fruit. And when I say bear fruit of repentance...
So you don't think, well, you're right, I get it.
The people in the Bible that were used the most
that it's actually problematic. You don't think that it's actually problematic for a Christian man to have such a stone-guarded rule for his children, right?
I think you're making a great point, Alicia. She's bringing up like in the Bible, so like Saul and Paul's
Yeah, I know, but I'm
conversion.
talking
Like
to you.
God greatly used Paul, and he was a murderer of
didn't use the
Christians.
pastor's
He
kids.
literally
Yeah,
killed
look,
Christians.
I've heard. Listen. I've heard.
And
the
yet
cope
God
on this,
still used
okay?
him, so-
you're not Paul. All right, you're not Paul, and Paul was repentant. Okay,
As
and
am
Paul
I.
also never said that he deserved to have a wife because of this repentance. That never happened.
Well, I
So,
never said
going
that I
back to
deserved a
this,
husband, but I'm
I
so
just wanna
grateful
ask
that God brought
again,
me one.
Yeah, I don't listen. Just listen to what I'm saying. Is there something that you would say is unchristian or bad
Look at Mary Magdalene.
about a man who is a Christian saying and setting the strong parameter on their
Yeah.
relationship with their wife that they do not want their children involved in any way with anybody who has a
Okay.
promiscuous past of prostitution?
Yeah, I hear your question. So, now you're painting it as like a different couple because see, I could never see my husband saying something like that unless the person was clearly still, unrepentant. But yeah, if it's another couple, like I understand that people have boundaries and people have standards, and that's perfectly okay for someone to say, hey, I don't want my child to date somebody that's been in the porn industry. Maybe they have no experience with, a transformed life or whatever their reasons may be. That's not unacceptable.
Right. So if they have those boundaries and they're not accepting of it,
Yeah.
right? They don't want it. They're not supportive of it. They're not being bad parents.
They're
right?
not.
A lot of
No,
people
absolutely
have sin,
not.
but theirs isn't so open. So it's like you're really making it like that's the worst thing you can do. But there's sin and it's hidden. And why don't we talk about those things? Those are the things that are worse. And he used Mary.
I thought
She
there
a
was no such
prostitute.
thing as a worse sin.
Gotcha, bitch.
Come on, you guys, stop. Come on, seriously.
It's Dave Chappelle.
Come on. It's okay for a person to set those types of boundaries with their children.
Hold on, let
It's okay.
me try to include some other people here. All right. Originally, you said you think you can turn a hoe into a housewife.
Yes.
No, you're good. You're good.
Okay.
Yeah, you can.
Yes, I think so. Yeah.
You think so?
Yes. Well, I think
Do you think it's suboptimal to do that? Let's say you can. Do you think it's a good move as a guy to do that?
what's suboptimal mean?
It's like not
What
the
is-
best.
What is
better
what is
if he wasn't
suboptimal?
a yeah.
I think it's
To
like
begin with.
isn't it like preference? Like some guys
Yeah.
don't even care. Like
Do you think? Okay, here's a question. Do you think, if given the choice between wifing, I suppose a wife, and then turning a normal woman into a wife versus turning a hoe into a wife, don't you think most men would pick the normal woman?
I guess this depends on preference. I mean, some guys were willing to wife a host.
Well, are they willing to do it because they have no other options?
Maybe they like it, you know. Like
They like that
wife-
she's a hoe?
Yeah.
How many men like for long-term commitment, how many men want to wife a hoe?
I think it's just like.
Your words, not mine, by the way. This is what she said. Okay.
Well, I think you can be a hoe and a wife at the same time, you know.
What?
Like like OnlyFans models.
What?
Like, like there's like OnlyFans people, like like Lena the Plug, whatever, and her man, like they are happily together. They have kids, and I mean, he accepts her how she is, and he's the same way, and
Well,
they're happy
so
together.
do you object to me saying I don't recommend men attempt to turn a hoe, your words, not mine, into a housewife? I just think it's a suboptimal dating choice. And if there's other options, and there's plenty of women who are not or were not, to use your words, hoes, why not just pick a normal woman?
Yeah, I mean, based on preference, like I said.
Well, okay, let's assume though most men don't have the preference of dating women who are 3-0 foes. Do you think most men would prefer to date a 305? 305?
Some will. I don't know.
Yes, some will, but in terms of preference.
I mean,
Actually, there's a lot of simps out there, so
I don't know.
there's a fucking ton of simps out there.
Some guys have the spirit of perversion. They actually like it. When I got out of OF, I had a lot of men that were like, man, I really missed that. I wish you did that. So there is men out there who that is their thing. And I think I'm not agreeing with it, but it is.
So Peach, for example, do you consider yourself?
Oh.
Yeah.
No. Not
You
really.
you don't?
I mean, not really.
So wait, why is this your position?
Well, I mean, I had like a past before.
You had a past? You had a past?
Yeah.
Do you mean a current? You have a current too.
I mean,
don't
also,
you?
yeah, I mean-
you have a current too.
Yeah.
Well, you're a stripper, correct?
Yes.
You do OF? Or
Not really. I have one, but I don't really use it like that.
because we took a look at your Twitter, and I mean, I don't know. As someone who values public-facing modesty, I mean, there's a photo on your Twitter, and there's like, I can't believe it. With the guy's seed all over you. Okay, I'm gonna say.
Yeah. I mean,
I don't know if you see, not a 305.
well, I mean,
Not a 305?
what do you consider like a 304? Like, what is
Well, you said you don't consider yourself a what?
a hoe?
You don't consider yourself that. But there's a photo of you on Twitter that you posted with a guy splunk all over you.
Right. Well,
A little, it's maybe a little bit,
well, this is like.
wait, say the word. It's a little bit,
Hoe?
it's a little bit, right?
Yeah.
A little bit.
Well, I think it's just for me.
Am I wrong?
I mean, you're not wrong. No, I think for me it was like I used to, sleep around a lot, and now I'm just like
okay.
sleeping with one person, who
Well-
was my boyfriend, and
So before you met him, were you sleeping around a lot?
I was, yeah.
When you first met him, were you still also sleeping around?
No, not anymore. I had like,
No, but like obviously when you first met him, like maybe there were other guys in the picture, right?
yeah,
What's the scope of that
like there was like one other person at the time.
that you were sleeping with?
Yeah.
When you met your now boyfriend?
Yes.
Did your boyfriend take you on he took you on a like first date, right?
Yeah.
How long from first date with boyfriend to being boyfriend girlfriend?
It was like 3 months.
3 months. On that first date, were you still sexually involved with the other guy?
No, not anymore. Not really.
You were
I
were you
would say-
sexually involved with any guy when you were on the first date with your now boyfriend?
No.
How long was the break?
Like when we got together, like when we went on the first date,
I guess.
like a week or something.
So wait, okay, so you had sex and then a week with a different guy and then a week later first date with.
Yeah, I met him and then I stopped. I dropped
Oh,
my roster or whatever.
All right. Huh.
Yeah.
I don't know if you can turn a 305 into a housewife. I don't know.
I mean, I don't know.
I would object to that. I mean, like that situation you described would probably be a deal breaker for me and a lot of men.
I mean, he says it doesn't bother him, but
Sure, that's fine.
like I said, like I think
You guys get close to the mic.
he was like interested in like OnlyFans and porn and all that. So
Well, I mean, you met him also sort of at the strip club,
yeah,
correct?
I did. Yeah. So he's like really into that.
Yeah,
stuff.
so he's probably okay with it.
Yeah, so he didn't see an
okay.
issue with it.
All right. Let me try to get through some of my all my notes here.